And if you want a situation where she's begging for your attention, you want her to have this feeling, because the opposite of that is being super needy and, super seeking her time, her validation. And that does not make her feel safe. I mean, think of James Bond. He's always taking his time. If a girl is not, particularly interested in him, he'll just move on and totally forget about the situation. And then maybe later she ends up coming around and, wanting him later on. But he's so cool and relaxed about it. He's not fazed one way or another. So that's kind of the vibe that you want to get off. You're not really pushing anything. I mean, you are pushing your agenda forward, but you're not like forcing anything. That's the difference. Just take your time, play it cool, let the pieces fall into place slowly. Hello world, Prince here, and welcome to my channel, Gentlemen and Scholars, where we discuss dating, style, personal development, and so much more. All right, so for my returning friends, definitely make sure you give this one a thumbs up for another awesome video. And if you're new, definitely consider taking a look around, liking and subscribing. As you know, it helps with that algorithm, it helps the channel to grow, and it really does work to facilitate that strong, tight-knit community. So, for today's topic, we're gonna be touching on something different here. We're gonna be touching on how to make a woman beg for your attention. So we're going to be going over some of the key things to keep in mind if you're really trying to, court the attention of a certain woman. I was able to break this down into 10 key tips for you to keep in the back of your mind. And all of these are huge. So you're going to want to make sure that you stick around until the end, because this is packed with a ton of information. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into today's video. All right, so jumping right in. So for tip number one, for how to make a woman beg for your attention, that is going to be to take your time. See, this is going to be a huge principle when it comes to seduction in general that is seldom talked about, but is absolutely huge. I mean, you're going to want to take your time because, seduction is a process that happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight, and you really have to give the woman the time and the space and really that safe environment for her to develop those feelings for you. And the more you take your time, the easier it'll be for her to develop these feelings, because it'll feel safe for her to do so. It'll feel like she wasn't forced or coerced into building these feelings, or forced into a relationship or anything of that nature. It's sort of natural. And if you want a situation where she's begging for your attention, you want her to have this feeling, because the opposite of that is being super needy and super seeking her time, her validation. And that does not make her feel safe. I mean, think of James Bond. He's always taking his time. If a girl is not, particularly interested in him, he'll just move on and totally forget about the situation. And then maybe later she ends up coming around and, wanting him later on. But he's so cool and relaxed about it. He's not fazed one way or another. So that's kind of the vibe that you want to get off. You're not really pushing anything. I mean, you are pushing your agenda forward, but you're not like forcing anything. That's the difference. Just take your time, play it cool, let the pieces fall into place slowly. Tip number two is going to be to do not over text. I mean, really, there are so many different reasons why this is not advantageous, I mean, it kind of messes up the mystery. You know, there needs to be a certain level of her wondering about you. You know, are you with a different girl? You know, what are you doing in that moment? These are things that she's going to be thinking, but if you're, you know, texting her all the time and you guys are constantly spending time together, whether it be via text or in person, you know, it just kind of ruins that mystery. Additionally, you're just not gonna wanna double text. I mean, this is just another case of over texting because, you know, this does not make you look confident. If you are texting and then maybe an hour or 2 hours later, you're like, all right, let me send her another text. This just shows that, you know, you do not have patience for her to get back to you, and maybe you're scared that she won't get back to you. This is not a confident place to be. You need to be in a place where you're just playing it cool, you know, not really concerned one way or another. Tip number 3 for how to get a woman to beg for your attention. This is going to be to not validate women. And really, this is particularly for the beginning of the relationship. Really, you shouldn't be out here validating women unless they have earned, you know, that certain level of validation. So this goes for, you know, I love yous. This goes for buying, you know, gifts, any gift, no matter how big or small. I mean, you know, you're still gonna wanna take her out on dates and, you know, of course, pay for those. In terms of, you know, going out of your way, like the flowers and all that stuff, that is reserved for, you know, when she's in love with you. So really a good rule of thumb is like somewhere like 2 months into a relationship. This shows that, you know, you're taking your time, you're kind of, you know, sort of weighing your options, trying to see if she really qualifies as a woman that you might take seriously. This develops respect, and this will make her work for your attention. So this is definitely huge. Tip number 4, this is going to be, do not confirm your interest level. So obviously there are straightforward ways of doing this, but there's also subtle ways of doing this as well. For instance, if you're on a date and then, you know, you get to the end of the date, do not at the end of the date start talking about the next date. I mean, think about it. The most appropriate thing in this situation is to, you know, take your time, evaluate the date, and think, does she qualify as a woman that, you know, I want to go see again? Even if in the back of your mind, you're like, damn, like this woman's hot. Like, don't do it right then and there. It's always good to, you know, let her wonder how the date went. Because, you know, that's kind of what they like doing. They're like going home, thinking about the date, sort of replaying it in their mind. It just adds a little mystery to it and just makes it that more exciting. And I mean, it's okay to say little things like, damn, like you really look sexy tonight. Or, you know, little stuff like that, but, you know, going over the top and, you know, like, hey, I really, really like you. Like, it's just not necessary. So don't be that guy. Sort of play it cool. You know, if you want to slide something in there like, man, like you really look stunning. You know, you can do that once maybe on the date, but, you know, don't go overboard with the compliment. For tip number 5, this sort of piggybacks on all of the aforementioned. This is going to be to make her wonder. And really, it's not make her wonder. Really, this is just give her the space to wonder. And there are really so many different ways that you can do this. For a guy that's naturally busy and on his grind, this is going to come naturally. It's not gonna be something that he really has to think about. But for a lot of you guys aren't really there yet. So I'll go ahead and break them down. So here are just a few examples. One is going to be, you know, taking your time when you text. You know, maybe if it's, you know, getting late and, you know, at this point in time, when it comes to the nighttime, this is when you should be on your grind, on your purpose, maybe studying up, maybe working on your business, etc. So maybe you wait a full 24 hours to text her the next day. This gives her the space to wonder, like, you know, did he go out on a date that night? Maybe that's not why he didn't text me. Are there other women after him? What is he doing? Like, these are the things that she's gonna think about. You know, at the end of the date, when you get to the end and you don't, you know, sort of rush to go set the next date, like, oh, like, you know, I wanna see you next Saturday or whatever. This might make her wonder like, like, did he really enjoy the date? Like, what is he thinking about me? And granted, you should always say at the end of a date that, you know, hey, I had fun. But all I'm saying is just don't go overboard. You know, give her the space to actually wonder about how things are really going with you by not over confirming your interest towards her. But hey, really quick, if you made it this far, congratulations. You are on your way to becoming a premier gentleman and scholar. So definitely consider taking a look around, liking and subscribing, as you know it helps with that algorithm, it helps the channel to grow, it really does work to facilitate that strong, tight-knit community. So for tip number 6, for how to make her beg for your attention, this is going to be to not have an abundance of time available. Really, if you're one of those guys that's always available and, you know, always ready to hang out anytime, you know, this really shows that you don't have like any social life, like you're not out, you know, doing your own thing. Additionally, it shows that you're not really focused on anything either. You know, you should have things that are really compelling for you that you're working towards, and you should be spending your time towards these things and not dropping that just to go hang out with some woman. Trust me, this is something subtle, but is something that women will eventually pick up on if you're one of those guys that is consistently doing this. Like, you're consistently available, you know, you're always down to hang. If she maybe reschedules and mentions, hey, let's just do it tomorrow, you're always like, hey, I'm okay, that works. Like, sometimes it's good to have other things going. You know, it's good to, you know, make her work to fit inside your schedule sometimes, because it shows that you're, you know, on your grind, or, you know, you have a healthy social life. So that's just something to consider as well. For tip number 7, this is going to be to move things to physical escalation quickly. And this will definitely help her to beg for your attention later on. By doing this sooner than later, you demonstrate that you are an alpha, you demonstrate that you're confident, you demonstrate that you are deserving of her, and she will definitely pick up on this and perceive you as a catch. You know, if you're one of those guys that don't beat around the bush, you are direct, you get right to what you want, trust me, you're the type of guy that she will be fawning over. So for tip number 8, to get her to beg for your attention, this is going to be having a good time together, and this will help to make her associate good feelings to being around you. So when you guys are together, you guys should be having fun, you know, laughing, joking, creating lasting memories, and really over time these memories accumulate, and then what happens is she ends up looking at you as her escape from reality. When she's with you, she's in her own little world. When she's away, she'll want her fix. She'll want, you know, that moment away from reality with you, and this definitely makes her beg for your attention and seek it more and more. And tip number 9 sort of piggybacks on the last tip, and this is going to be to let her pursue you. This means give her the time and the space to develop those feelings to the point where she is coming to you when she misses you. So this means if you don't hear from her for a couple days or whatever, you shouldn't be out, you know, running to text her or trying to, you know, facilitate the next time that, you know, you guys will see each other. Let her do that. Let her come, you know, when she's ready. That is sort of preferred anyway. I mean, they won't tell you this, but really this is what it ends up turning to. And this is coming from my experience in pretty much every situation I've been in the past couple of years. It always turns into a situation where they end up reaching out to me. So don't do too much, sort of play it cool and let her come to you. And last but not least, tip number 10 is to be on your purpose. This is the overarching theme in all of this stuff. If you're on your purpose, a lot of these tips you won't even have to think about. They'll just come naturally because you'll naturally be on your grind. you'll be more and more compelled to go after what is meaningful to you. Women are just naturally drawn to you. It's just a magnetic sort of attraction. It's a masculine feeling or essence that you're emanating. So it's definitely something that you guys need to find if you're not already certain on what it is that you want to accomplish and the real reason behind why you want to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. You need to find that in yourself. And once you get more and more clear on that, this will inspire her and inspire others around you. And she'll even start to look up to you. And this, of course, will cause her to chase your attention and validation. So get busy, get focused on self-improvement, on your purpose. Stay focused. You guys can totally do this. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. If you do have any questions for me, definitely feel free to give a shout, definitely subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That is extremely important. It helps the algorithm, it helps the channel to grow, and it really does work to facilitate that strong, tight-knit community. So definitely let me know down below what you guys think about this one. Did I leave some tips out that you think are extremely important? Do you have some commentary for this? Do you think I hit on some good points? Definitely let me know down below. But until next time, gentlemen and scholars.